This is Charlie Mato-Toyela with another how to make and how to play the Native American flute videos. This video is basically flute basics, and it's something that we've been offering at our booth and at concessions that we run and what have you when we set up at powwows and art shows and the like. But I haven't really offered this type of thing to our YouTube viewers, and I wanted to give you something that might help you out if you're a beginning flute player and you want to learn more about how to take care of your flute or how to play it properly, and wondering what happens whenever it makes sound a little weird. The flute, basically, whether it's made out of river cane wood or PVC or what have you, is actually a tube just like this. And the tube chamber has a separation, kind of a partition inside of it, and then there's a piece of something, usually leather lace or some type of string holding on a block that is underneath, and you can just slightly see a little bit of this block here. I'm going to show you how all this stuff works and how it goes together so you can get an idea of what may be going on wrong if you're having an odd sound, or if your block falls off, or if you want to change your block out with another one, what you can do and how basically to tie it and what have you. We also will have an advanced flute tying or an advanced leather tying technique video, upcoming video that we're going to be making, so that you can see some things that I've learned to do with leather lace over the years that you might think, hey, that's kind of cool. So it makes a nice decoration on your flute. So what we're going to do first is let you hear it. Sounds good. And if something happens that your flute, made by me or someone else, the little block slides down a little bit, which happens a lot, especially in shipping, because it goes through a lot of different climates, passing through countries and sometimes through different cities and what have you. Might be dry one place and hot another, hot, cold, wet, dry. It's all crazy. It goes through a lot of traveling to get to you. So if that happens, the leather lace might become a little loose and the block might slide down. Sometimes I've actually heard of one person that I sent a flute to maybe 10-15 years ago that their block was in the bottom of their box that it came in, which is kind of unusual, but you'll see what to do if that happens to you. This is kind of a weird sounding. That, accompanied by this block being too far down, covering a little square hole there, is the cause of it. The bottom note on most of your flutes sometimes jumps octave if you blow too fast. Some people, especially a beginning flute player, may tend to overblow or blow a little hard or fast in the first place. So it's always best to, as we say, blow in the flute as if you're blowing the eyelash off of a baby's cheek, just very gently and delicately. And right now I'm going to show you how some of this stuff goes together, if you forgive the pun, how they tie together. So here's the leather lace on one of my river cane flutes. I'm going to slide this piece up, and here's the block. The block is made out of a slither of river cane, nothing really fancy or special in this one. You might have one that looks like a seahorse or a unicorn on there. People make blocks that look like a number of unusual animals these days, but this one's just a little sliver of river cane. You'll see here there are two holes. The one hole is a supply air hole. When you blow in this part of the flute, the air comes out that part of the flute, thus calling it the supply hole. This flute is actually the sound hole. This is the one where the actual sound of your flute comes from, and what causes it and how it works. In the past, especially with some of my flutes, in order to tune them or check them, I've been able to play them like this. When they do like that, I know that they're going to be a good one. But just to show you how this works, your block, whether it's flat or shaped like a unicorn, that's a joke by the way, needs to sit up to the top of this hole right here. Your hole may be round. I used to make flutes with round holes for their sound hole all the time. It is actually the way that many of the traditional ones were made. This one has a square hole, and the edge of this block sits right at the edge of the square hole, if you'll notice right there, just like that. So my flutes have a stop back here, so that way if something happens that your flute gets out of tune or sounds funny, or this piece is slid down some, all you have to do is push it back up to the stop and you're pretty well set. That's where it belongs. Now let's say something happens that altogether your leather lace fell off of your flute, and if that were to have happened, then you would have just a piece of leather lace like this. And you notice I kind of habitually hold that on with my thumb. Um, the way that I tie my flutes, I've showed this in one of our previous videos, but not as elaborately, is I basically hold this piece down here with a thumb. Here's your piece of leather lace, and it's holding with index finger in the same hand that's holding down the block. And if you notice, I'm pulling the leather lace kind of flat and straight across the flute, and I do this so quickly that sometimes I forget to slow down to show you. I'm holding this piece right here, I wrap this other piece around, and while I'm wrapping it around, it's got tension on it so that the leather lace is not likely to bunch or unscrew or get untied right there, or lose some of its strength or get some slack in it. How many different ways can we say that? And then I put my finger back down on top of it. Now I'll do it just normal speed here, like that. And at the same time that I'm wrapping it, I'm also stacking the leather lace on top of each other so that they make a nice flat, I'll come back up and show you, a nice flat little bit of a row there. Yeah, this part keeps untying on me, but that's part of it. So now I've got the slack, I'm holding it in both of my hands, and then if you'll watch, I actually tie the knot with one hand, but I can show you how to tie it with both. I just tie the knot there just like that. You don't have to stick it in your mouth, but I kind of habitually do, especially when I'm trying to show. And that's basically it. Now that's something of a weak knot, which is what I prefer to keep on my flutes. If you find that your flute loses a tension on its leather lace, or if you find that the block gets loose and slides around, you might want to tie 2 knots there. You may decide to do one other thing that I sometimes make my flutes, and I tie 2 pieces of leather, one in the front and one in the back. This makes it more likely that one of them will stay tied all the time. So it would be more likely that one of the pieces, it's a 50-50 chance, but there you go. So that's basically how to tie this piece on. Once you get it tied on, once again with my flutes, push it all the way back. If you've got someone else's flutes that don't have a little lock-in area here, just slide it so that it's at the very top of this sound hole here, and that's your flute. Once again, very important part so that everybody knows. My flutes too, I usually make them with a little, you see there's a ground section right here on that. Even on my cedar flutes, there's usually one of those so that you can slide it back and forth across your block. But once again, if you take the leather off, need to replace the leather, or if something happens, the leather breaks. I didn't make the leather cord itself in most cases. I have in the past, but these days I tend to buy it. I do buy high quality leather lace, but it is capable to be broken. I mean, I can break it right now if I want to. If you're delicate with it, it won't get broken. But once again, just wrapping around and holding it with my finger, wrapping around, holding it with my finger, wrapping around, holding it with my finger. If you look on this side, it's a little crooked. You can kind of squash that together, problem solved. But in either case, like I say, this is a very simple and very decorative even technique for tying your leather lace onto your flute, or whatever type of cord you have. I have in the past experimented with other cords because we're vegetarians, so we don't always like to kill things if we don't have to. Used to eat a lot of meat. I always complained to my vegetarian friends who didn't want leather lace on their flutes, but now we see eye to eye, it seems. But in either case, there's your flute. So once again, just a very simple video on how to do that part and what to do if you hear kind of a weird sound. If it's a little airy or something of that nature, usually it's because it slid back too far. Once again, my flutes have a stop there, so they're not ever going to slide back too far. But if you've got someone else's and this little block has the capability of sliding up and down, airy sounding is up this way, and really high-pitched sounding is down this way. So it needs to be right at the edge of the little square hole like we talked. Likewise, for those more advanced musicians, people who are into music, maybe this is your first flute, or maybe you've been just watching our videos relentlessly, which is fantastic. You'll notice something very interesting. The more you slide the block this way, the flatter the sound of the tone will be. The more you slide it that way, the sharper it will be. Once again, they're usually best if they're right at the edge. However, if you're playing a piece and you need it to go a little one way or the other, you might find a way to do that. And we do have some techniques on making a flute sharp and flat in some of our upcoming videos of how to make the flute. But once again, this is just basically a little introduction to the leather lace so that you can get an idea of what it takes to put it back on that way. So in either case, like I said, thanks again for watching our videos. If you have any other questions or anything, please always email us, contact us. Whatever you've got to do, there's an email form on our website, which is bluebeararts.com, and then there's also our Facebook, which is Blue Bear Arts on Facebook. And keep an eye on us. If you would, please do watch all of our videos. There's some great and interesting information in there. Feel free to subscribe to our video feed here on YouTube, and like I said, once again, we'd like to hear from you. So if you have any of those type of things that you've come up with and you'd like to see a video made about it, please feel free to ask. Once again, my name's Charlie Mato-Toyela, and we look forward to seeing you in the future. You guys take care. Thank you.